Today we'll show off the off-road capability of Harley-Davidson's cruisers. We'll take you along on one of our favorite rides to East Canyon. It will be 152 miles on the Old Pioneer Trail.
Welcome along for another ride on the handlebars, everyone. Today our adventure is going to take us past This Is the Place Heritage Park and Hogle Zoo. We'll ride past Donner Hill.
Every good road captain should know the route and know it well. Let's go through some detail. As usual, we'll head out from the Mid-Valley area of Salt Lake.
And then up Emigration Canyon to Little Mountain Summit. We'll ride east down the mountain and come past Little Dell Reservoir and into Big Hatch Canyon. If everything goes to plan, we'll climb over Big Mountain Pass and then come down into Left Fork Little Dutch Hollow. And then from Little Dutch Hollow, we'll be down into the valley by East Canyon. We'll then circle around the East Canyon Reservoir and then follow the East Canyon Creek to Morgan. We'll ride through Morgan and up to Mountain Green, and then over the mountains to Huntsville. From Huntsville, we'll ride along the Pine View Reservoir and then down the Ogden Canyon. We'll ride through the east side of Ogden and then head south for home. We're now riding past the This Is the Place Heritage Park. Straight ahead is Donner Hill. Nearly 1 year to the day before the Latter-day Saints entered this canyon, the final geographic obstacle between Big Mountain and Salt Lake Valley, members of the Donner Reed wagon train headed to California blazed the length of Emigration Canyon and carved out its first rough road. After hacking their way through nearly a dozen miles of choking river willows and scrub oak that infested the bottoms of the narrow canyon, the group chose to go up and around the final constriction near the valley's mouth instead of through it. The choice to make this exhausting, brutal climb over the rock and sage all but spent their draft animals' final reserves of strength and likely contributed to the historic tragedy that befell the travelers 3 months and 600 miles to the west. We're now riding through Emigration Canyon. Emigration Canyon was significant in early Utah history as the original route used by pioneers entering the area. It was part of the Hastings Cutoff route used by the Donner Party in 1846, and where Mormon Pioneers entered the Salt Lake Valley in 1847. On July 21, 1847, after a grueling journey of 108 days, Erastus Snow and Orson Pratt had the distinction of being the first Mormon pioneers to descend from Emigration Canyon into the Salt Lake Valley after following the remnants of the rough road through the Wasatch Mountains recently blazed by the Donner Reed Party. Pratt's words capture the grandeur of that moment. After issuing from the mountains and beholding, in a moment, such an extensive scenery opened before us, we could not refrain from a shout of joy. The great and lovely scenery was in our view. Although the Mormon pioneers were not the first Euro-Americans or even immigrants to pass through Emigration Canyon into the Salt Lake Valley, their arrival represented a dramatic transition in the history of Utah, which the Latter-day Saints would dominate from that point onward. The day after Snow and Pratt first glimpsed and scouted the valley, the Mormon pioneers already began to reshape both the route through Emigration Canyon and the valley itself. On July 22nd, a crew from the advanced wagon party led by Stephen Markham cut a road through Donner Hill in just 4 hours, creating a quick and suitable route around the hill that taxed the Donner Reed Party's animals the previous year. On the same day, led by Orson Pratt, 8 members of the advance party made their way down into the Salt Lake Valley to locate a suitable location for planting. Finding the soil to be more fertile closer to the mouth of Emigration Canyon, the party discovered an area near City Creek, a beautiful creek of pure water, according to Pratt. That would become the first settling point for the Mormon pioneers. On July 23rd, While the advance company began plowing acres of land and damming City Creek, Brigham Young, ill with mountain fever, made the journey over Little and Big Mountains and camped near what Orson Pratt called Last Creek, prepared to take the last 6 miles of the journey the following day. On July 24th, now celebrated as Pioneer Day, the ailing Brigham Young descended into the Salt Lake Valley in one of Wilford Woodruff's wagons. As Brigham Young looked over the Salt Lake Valley from the mouth of the canyon, he declared, "This is the right place. Drive on." These words have become famous in Utah history. This event is commemorated with This is the Place Heritage Park at the mouth of the canyon. Throughout Emigration Canyon, there are several historic markers, designated camps, trail markers, and milestones where the Mormon pioneers passed while they were on their way to the Salt Lake Valley. Here we are at Little Mountain Summit with a look at Little Dell Reservoir to the east and down the slope.
Now we're looking across Emigration Canyon.
Panning south, we can see the mountains that are on the opposite side of the Salt Lake Valley. Now we're headed down the east side of Little Mountain Summit towards Little Dell Reservoir. Little Dell Reservoir in Parley's Canyon was considered in the late 1940s when Dr. Ray E. Marshall, geologist consultant for the Utah Water and Power Board, recommended the project to the Salt Lake City Commission. Interest in the project was rekindled in 1983 when East 1300 South in Salt Lake City was flooded for the second time in 31 years. The reservoir was constructed between 1987 and 1993 for drinking water and flood control. Now that we've passed Little Dell Reservoir, we're going to head up Big Hatch Canyon. But it looks like our plans are about to change. The Big Mountain Pass appears to be, as you can see, closed. We're going to have to find another way to East Canyon. So we followed Mountaindale Canyon down to Parley's Canyon onto Interstate 80 and worked our way up to Jeremy's Ranch. We're now on East Canyon Road, following East Canyon Creek, headed towards East Canyon Reservoir. As you can tell, this road is not paved. Riding along the creek, we'll come to a place that's known as Mormon Flat. Fearing an invasion by the approaching U.S. Army in 1857, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints President Brigham Young evacuated Salt Lake City and ordered the Mormon militia to prevent the soldiers from entering the valley. The federal troops would come through Fort Bridger in southeastern Wyoming and pass through Echo Canyon about 50 miles northeast of Salt Lake City before following the California Mormon Trail up Big Mountain and entering the city from the mouth of Emigration Canyon. Along this route lay several defensible locations, including a spot at the eastern foot of Big Mountain at Mormon Flat, where the trail turned sharply to the northwest and passed along the foot of a ridge as it headed up the mountain. On the ridge top, the militia built a defensive breastwork, a low wall with stacked rocks from which they could fire down upon passing troops. It turned out they never had to use it because the so-called Mormon War was peacefully resolved, but the breastwork remains in place and can still be seen and visited. It is clearly visible from Mormon Flat, a pioneer camping area that today is a public campground operated by the state of Utah. From the campground, visitors can follow the steep path up the ridgetop to explore the breastwork. On the left of the road, we can see East Canyon Reservoir. East Canyon offers the opportunity to retrace the footsteps of pioneers. Visitors can splash in the springs where the Donner Party collected drinking water, hike beside Brigham Young's wagon ruts, or mountain bike down the Pony Express route. The rugged canyon is a land of stark contrasts. Sagebrush gives to oak, then to cottonwood. Long expanses of dry dirt are suddenly punctuated by creek beds. In summer, when the temperatures rise to 90 degrees, travelers swim in the East Canyon Reservoir below snow-capped peaks that last until July or later.
We're riding along the north shore of the East Canyon Reservoir toward the East Canyon Dam. It is a 259-foot high, 436-foot long arch concrete dam. It was constructed between 1964 and 1966. Welcome to Morgan, elevation 5,069 feet, population 4,273. The city is named after Jedediah Morgan Grant, a leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who served as an apostle and as a member of the LDS First Presidency under Brigham Young in the mid-1850s. After riding over the mountains from Mountain Green, we'll be dropping down to Huntsville, elevation 4,928 feet, population 642. The Shooting Star Saloon, one of the oldest bars west of the Mississippi, is located in the town. It opened in 1879. We'll be taking a little bit of a break and then headed down Ogden Canyon. We're headed west out of Huntsville along the south shore of the Pine View Reservoir. We're headed west to Ogden, riding through the Ogden Canyon. There's a lot of eastbound traffic trying to escape the valley. We've got a very windy run through the canyon, which should be a pretty fun ride as we go. I hope you've enjoyed your ride on the handlebars today as we've traveled many of the historical sites of the old Mormon Pioneer Trail coming into the Salt Lake Valley. We appreciate you coming along with us for our ride today. If there are things that you would like us to discuss or questions that you would like to have answered, please leave those messages in the comments and we'll see what we can do in the future. Our goal is to share some of our experience with you.